Hello once again. In our last session, we looked at how you can launch your MySQL Workbench, and we went through some of the features that you have on the home page or the welcome page. We said that you have on the left side here, you have the connections, and then also here we have the models. We then went ahead to look at how we can create a connection, which is a unique instance, all right, to the server, okay? And we created the classroom server 2 instance, but obviously I've changed it to a classroom instance for clarity. Um, but I want to highlight a minor detail. Yeah. So if we right click here and we go to edit connection, right? Um, when we set this up, of course, we had the password section. You can see that we didn't necessarily enter anything. Um, Now, if we clear this, we click this clear button, that ensures that we haven't stored any passwords in our vault, which means that every time we try to make or try to establish a connection to the server, it's going to prompt us for a password. All right. Um, of course, if we want to, so let's demonstrate this first so that we can see both scenarios. All right. So if we hit test connection, right, you can see that it prompts us for a password, and then I can enter my password. Okay. All right. So now I've sort of saved that, and we go to OK. And if I test the connection, yep, it's fine. All right. So if I close this, now if you click, if I try to establish this connection, you can see that straight away it connects us to the database. All right. Now let's try the other case. All right, where we sort of clear what's stored in the vault. All right, so if we clear this and I just test connection and close, all right, we can see that once I try to uh, connect to the database, it asks us for the password. All right, so now if I click OK, it should go. Oh, I entered the wrong password. So yes, always make sure you put in the right one. All right. Right. So now we should be connected. All right. So again, this establishes how you can make sure whether or not you'd be entering passwords every single time. Okay. Right. So I'm just going to close this again one more time, and then we can try to, of course, try this ourselves before we move ahead. Okay. Um, so. Of course, there's one other thing I wanted to highlight here, which is the we've got the this menu bar here that gives us a host of options that we can use. All right, so in the file here, we can set up a new model, and by model here, we mean a data model in terms of how you want to visually, or the blueprints that we spoke about in the first session. If you want to create a blueprint for a database, we also have a new query tab, right? If you want to send specific commands to the SQL to the database, all right. If you already have some model stored somewhere and you want to just open it, if you also want to open an SQL script, so a list of commands that you've put together in a file that you want to open, all right. And then we also have the recent files. If there are some recent files that you want to open, you can use this option here. All right. Now again, you can also, of course, try to connect to a database. You can also manage connections. All of these options we'll be looking at in due course. But at the moment, we should just focus on how we can connect to establish a connection to a given database. All right. So of course, these are my instances that I've created here, and to establish a connection, you basically just need to click on it. And of course, it's going to ask you for a password. All right. And once you do so, we are in. Okay. Now, that takes us into a completely sort of different interface. All right. Which, of course, needs some introduction. All right. Now, um, on the left-hand side here, all right, we have what we call the navigation sort of panel, all right. Um, this bottom here, we have this section here that gives extra information on specific things that we click. So you can think of it almost like giving information about or properties of objects that we select. All right. So you can see as I select here, all right, it's changing, giving us information about those items, all right, or objects. We also have the work area here, all right, where, of course, if you are writing a query, all right, you would be writing commands, okay, in this section over here. So this is the main work area, and we'll be looking at some of the things, of course, we can do in these individual sections or parts, okay? Now, starting with our navigation panel, all right, we are going to look at what we have here. All right, so you basically have two tabs here. You have the schemas, all right, which is basically showing you the structure of the databases, all right, and then you have administration that, of course, for our purposes, it has information that has to do with managing and looking at the performance of the database. Okay, so if we start with schemas, you can see that for each we have like all these different databases: Company One, MyDB, Sakila, SQL tests, Sys test, and then World. All right, so these are databases that already exist on the server. All right, now we can then look at each, okay, of those schemas. All right, so we can look at each of those. So if we look at the company one, for example, we can begin to see what's inside of the database, right? So we have tables, right? So far, we talked about tables. We've also said some things about views, of course, but of course, views are just perspectives that specific users have of the existing database. We also have some stored procedures and functions. All right, so we'll see what those are in due course. But for now, we can just try to look at what's in here. So you can see for the tables, we have the department, employee, and the property for rent tables, right? So you can see that once I click data department, in the information panel, we have information here that tells us things like the data type, the integrity constraints, like you've got a primary key, and then also we have the yes, the data type. You have these data types for the attributes, department name, and location. All right. So the same, similarly for employee, you have the same sort of format, and then also for property for rent, you have the same sort of format. Okay. Now, before I move on to the next section, all right, I want us to all sort of click, all right, on our databases. All right, you just check that you have some databases, obviously, in your system, and just click it. All right, just click it and just navigate through the drop down, just as I've shown here. You can see that also here we have uh, hierarchies being shown here. So under the tables, of course, come under the tables, and so you can see that it's been indented, okay, to the right. And inside the tables, you also have the tables under the table section, also indented to the right. Okay, so that's the structure that is being followed here. So let's try this exercise again. Let's all try to establish the connection, go to the navigator panel, and just click around and see what you have under each database that is on your system.